What is up, everybody? I did the dumb thing where I didn't set this to be optimized, so we're going to get less viewers. Let's get going on this. Hopefully this gets views. Otherwise, this will probably just get taken down and be a standalone. How are we doing, Jesus Sam? This will probably be a standalone vlog just for the newsletter, if that's the case. David Morrell, David Benavidez. I always am like a little dyslexic when I say those things, so it's a little bit hard for me to say it straightforward. Let me tweet this out, tweet the link. Before I get into this, let me preserve this in history. Outlet drama. Plugged in my light to get. You might say, what? Why is the lighting so whatever? Because outlet drama. So I was plugging in my big key light, and what happened? Well, as you can see, you can't see actually, but the see live reaction. So I tried to plug in a light behind me, and the outlet went out, and then there's a smell of smoke in the room. So I was trying to figure out, is this going to get on fire? Is the podcast studio going to catch on fire? Rain, all this stuff's going on, and that's how we did it. So David Benavidez, David Morrell, thank you to those in the chat. Hit the subscribe button, thumbs up. I'm going to be hanging out with you, sharing my observations. Benavidez never let Morrell get into rhythm. That is a good point. What else do we have? I had it pretty much 10 rounds. Benavidez, I had it. What did I have it? I mean, I scored it 10-9 when the points were deducted, but I believe technically you're supposed to go 9-8. So I guess I would have had it 115, 111. The big thing was I had about 2 rounds apiece through the first 4 rounds, but Benavidez really took over those mid rounds, and then Morrell kind of came on in rounds 10, 11, and 12, but it really felt like the heart of the fight, he gave it away. And I think that goes back to kind of what we were previewing in the lead up to this fight. Experience matters. Experience is a big thing, right? And we, like a lot of great fighters, want to be David Morrell. They want to be Andy Cruz. They want to be Vasily Lomachenko. They want to take on big, exciting fights really early in their career. And that's great. We all like that. And we appreciate that. As fans of boxing, we're big fans of that. But we can't discount the fact that there's only so many fighters that are capable of doing that. That's really the truth. And to me, this looked like a veteran professional who's a pay-per-view fighter taking on David Morrell, who's a very, very good fighter, distinguished fighter. But this also looked like his first time taking a huge step up in competition, which it was. And there was a good portion of this fight where he was learning on the fly how to fight in these instances. And I also think that a big thing for Morrell in this fight was conserving his gas tank and conserving his energy. So, for Benavidez, this really puts him in position to become the fighter of the year, right? Because Benavidez now has the beautiful opportunity to have a big win in a perceived 50-50 fight, which it was a 50-50 fight. And then if he fights 1 or 2 more times this year, he's already halfway home. If he can get a win or 2 more, he's right there to be the fighter of the year. It's a wonderful start for a guy that for many years wasn't really calling out Canelo, but he was waiting his turn to get an opportunity with Canelo, and it's pretty clear Canelo was never going to give him that opportunity. So for him, it's really a great start to his career. And for Morrell, I don't think it really hurts him that much because there's other good fights to be out there for him. So there's Caleb Plant fights. There's others. Ulysses Iglesias is a Cuban that I think he had lost to in the amateurs. There's other great fights for him. Let's see what Jesus M is saying. And by the way, share this, tell a friend to tell a friend, etc. Morrell needs to go in circles with volume, in and out, and change it up. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I also think that a lot of that is a lack of fighting in these type of fights. He's fought in fights, and I think the Black Jordan Breen on Twitter said it best. I forget his name, but he's a pretty good analyst or a person that shares thoughts. What he said was simply that Morrell is used to fighting at a certain pace where he's able to control the pace and have more power than his opponent. And he's able to fight in spurts and take time off. And it felt like really David Benavidez weaponized pace in this fight in a way that Morrell wasn't accustomed to having to deal with pace being weaponized. Morrell didn't have enough offense because he was taking too much punishment. Morrell gets tired. I did notice that too, that David Morrell did start to fatigue in this fight. And he started out really strong, but he took a lot of rounds off where he was in a high guard, kind of waiting out Morrell or Benavidez, and never really mounted his own offense. Because this is kind of a late show and just things have been all over the place. My mind's wonky, all types of stuff. Let's just stick to the thing. So if you have more Benavidez, Morrell questions, throw them in the chat. We greatly appreciate it. If you, for some reason, want to jump on with me real quick, let me know. I'll send you the link. I'll put the link in the chat if people want that. Where do the fighters go? I already kind of threw out some ideas for Morrell. Benavidez is pretty clear. He can target the winner of Better Beef Bivol. Whoever wins that fight, that's a big fight for him, and I think that's a makeable fight. So, I mean, he realistically has his big fight, and he's now... I don't see how you can't put Benavidez in a pound-for-pound list. He's solidified his status as one of the 10 best fighters in the sport. So, I mean, because I don't think Tank has had a fight like this. So, like, Shakur's 3-division champion. He looks the part, but he hasn't even gotten the opportunity to be in a fight like this. Devin Haney took a humiliating loss. I don't think you can put him in this conversation per se. So Benavidez needs to get put in these pound-for-pound lists because I think... But like the pound-for-pound list, really there's a lot of eye tests going on with the pound-for-pound list. And there's a lot of... How do I say this? Boxing has a lot of really boring opinions that are parroted, is the best way I can say it. And I think that's best seen in pound-for-pound lists. So you see a lot of people just say that. Here we go. All man of the people. So we'll throw it. Here's the link to the show. We've never done this before in LukieBoxing history. That's the link. Jump in. We're going to do little segments. It's like a call-in segment. If you're crazy or something, I'll kick you off. We're going. So there you go. We got I Just Want Truth. We in the building. Man K Crazy. Hello. Bipolar Boxing. I'll hop on with you, Lukey. Well, there you go. Links in the chat. If you want to jump on, feel free to talk with me. In case you missed the pay-per-view and you're just tuning into this where I look like a disgruntled employee. Oh, there's Bipolar Boxing. We'll let him get in and get situated. When he's ready, we'll let him tell us, and then we'll get going. Let's see, add to the stage. Okay, he's locked. So when Bipolar Boxing pops up with a thing, we're gonna let him come in. Co-feature Stephen Fulton redeemed himself. He's been a hard luck fighter and all that stuff, and beats Brandon Figueroa. Let's see. So Bipolar Boxing, are you there?
I'm here. I just can't see myself.
Okay, so what you gotta do is there's a thing that says camera, and there's a line through it, and you gotta do it. And if it doesn't let you do it, we're just gonna... You can be like a Secret Service agent for this one. But what are your thoughts? I'm going to interview you. What are your thoughts on this? What did you think? Benavidez, Morrell, what are your thoughts? Oh, where'd you go?
Hold on one sec. I'll get on my phone.
Okay, right. So we're going to get back to you. Just send a note in the comments. Okay, there you go. So... Was Figueroa injured? Weird fight from him. I don't know if he was injured, but also here's a hot take, Lukey hot take. Maybe Figueroa's just had a lot of hard fights, and maybe his body's saying, "Hey, chill, dog." I'm tired of being in a lot of hard fights, a lot of hard weight cuts, a lot of hard training camps. Maybe they just have added up. And for Fulton, I thought that it was really sweet that Fulton had a moment because it really seemed to mean a lot to him to win. So, okay, we got bipolar boxing. You got a platform and all this stuff. What did you see in this this fight tonight, bipolar boxing?
The Morrell fight, what I saw was really early. I saw Morrell doing stuff like throwing power jabs and just stuff like it just seemed like he wasn't ready for the big stage. I thought he was going to tire himself out just throwing power jabs, and I knew he was going to have to use a lot of lateral movement and be fighting off his back foot the whole fight. So very early on, I was like, this guy's going to wear himself out. I mean, he didn't look that bad in the first like couple of rounds, but very early on, David Benavidez dictated the entire fight. And every round, Morrell started off on his back foot, backing up against the ropes. Benavidez didn't even have to throw punches to get him back there. It just seemed too easy for Benavidez.
Yeah, I mean, Benavidez kind of weaponized pace in this fight, and he forced Morrell to have to fight at a pace that it felt like Morrell was not comfortable. It felt like athleticism and power had allowed him to dictate pace in previous fights.
Yes, that was another thing. Like the pace of this fight was too much for Morrell. I wish Morrell could have got another fight like Benavidez's last couple of fights, Demetrius Andrade, Caleb Plant. I understand it's a different weight class, but you have to get guys like that level before you fight a guy like David Benavidez, in my opinion. But I understand why he took the fight, and it's a great learning experience for him. But I just don't think he was ready.
What did you see? Where do you want the guys to go after this?
I don't know. It's tough to say for Morrell because who else is out there at 175? As far as like a guy that Morrell could fight that's not Bivol, better be off, or Benavidez. Benavidez, I obviously want to see fight the Bivol, better be off winner. But who's out there for Morrell to fight? Because he needs to take a little step back, not too far back. But is there a guy out there like is Joe Smith still around or something like that?
I think Manuel Gallegos got brought up in the press conference as a sparring partner, and like he got a win over Khalil Cole. Go into boxingscene.com, which is a great resource for everybody if you want to go and kind of get some intel and stuff. We're going to check out what the rankings tell us. Let's see if we can make a fight real quick. You know, there's guys, Albert Ramirez, who fights on Eye of the Tiger. He's I think a good fight. William Hutchinson, Anthony Yard is a guy that I think would be a good fight. Let's look around anymore. Jesse Hart.
He's got a fight next week or so, doesn't he?
He does, but I mean, I'm just saying down the future, that's a fight. Like who was I just looking at? Alex Gvozdyk obviously is a good one, but there was one that jumped out at me a second ago that was a good fight.
Gvozdyk is like a fight I wish he would have had before the Benavidez fight. I wish he would have had a fight. I know he fought Hot Rod the night Benavidez fought Gvozdyk, but I wish he would have had a god like Gvozdyk to get him ready for a guy like Benavidez. I think it would have benefited him in this fight.
I like a Richie Rivera or a Jesse Hart fight too, because I think the fans wouldn't be excited about those fights, but those are professional veterans that could possibly beat Morrell, and those are the type of fights he needs. Go into the chat. I want to get your thoughts on this bipolar boxing. Oh, come on, Figueroa doesn't improve. Figueroa looked bad. Are you with me that maybe it was the accumulation of a lot of hard fights? Or do you think that Figueroa, something was off with him tonight?
It's hard with that performance. It's hard for me to think something wasn't wrong. Either that or, I mean, I don't want to take credit away from Stephen Fulton. Maybe Stephen Fulton was just that good and he didn't fight anything like he did in the first fight, really. He seemed like he carried the weight better than Figueroa, which is the complete opposite of what I thought. But Fulton looked great in this fight. And maybe Bootsy Ennis had something to do with that.
Yeah, who knows? Just going through it, you know, maybe Figueroa doesn't improve, but he hurt Fulton at 122 many times, but he can't hurt him at 126. Joe Smith Jr. has moved to cruiserweight. I think he's fighting February 13th in Huntington, New York. Just real quick, because I'm about to get out of here because there's a rainstorm going, and I drove the Chevy pickup truck down to the podcast studio for a quick minute. Angel Fierro, Isaac Cruz, banger of a fight. That was wonderful. Jesus Ramos Jr. proves he is a contender once again. Do you have any thoughts on that bipolar boxing?
No, I just with Pitbull Cruz, he's a very exciting fighter. I just don't think he can hang with the top guys at 140, like the elite guys at 140. I think he'll get outboxed by most of them, and he doesn't have a lot of power. I know he's got a lot of knockouts on his resume. I honestly think Cruz would be fit to fight at like 130 pounds instead of 140. I don't think 140 is a great weight class for him. That was a banger of a fight. Their scores were kind of wide, but I thought it was a pretty close competitive fight. I thought Fierro looked really good.
Yeah, it was a good fight, and leading up to it, I was pretty confident. Like, that's the ultimate jerk off statement. You kind of find the insecure dudes in boxing when they're like, "I told you this would be a good fight." It's kind of like the worst and most uncool statement you can do. But I had a feeling that was going to be a competitive fight because Esau Cruz is kind of getting into that zone where he's a celebrity and maybe he can let off the gas a little bit or he could overlook a guy. Angel Fierro had upset Alberto Machado a while back on Ring City, USA, back when
Remember
that was a thing. And he's done this before. You know, he's shown up and at the press conferences, he was totally in his face. And it just felt like a fight where you had one guy who might have his foot off the gas and the other guy's going 100 without a seatbelt on. And I think that's the fight we got.
Yeah. And another thing with Pitbull, like, it's not that I don't like him. I don't like his fans and the aura they created around him. Just it's like people find fighters like Pitbull on YouTube and then they build this aura around him that I just don't think is there. I don't think he's that good. Just kind of let the guy grow. But like you said, it kind of creates like a celebrity status for him. And maybe it gets him a little comfortable and he starts believing all that. And then he runs into Valenzuela in his last fight, and he just got exposed in that fight.
Yeah, so that is that. Bipolar, what are you doing in boxing? Tell people that are listening how to support you.
I just started my channel like a year ago. I'm just on here. Like, I don't do much in my life. Boxing's the only thing. So I literally just got my phone here, started up a boxing channel. I live 15 minutes from the Boxing Hall of Fame, and I go there every year. I'm a huge boxing fan. This just kind of helps my my mental health, to be honest. Starting a page and just literally talking boxing. I don't care if it's to absolutely nobody. Just making a video about boxing. It's all I like to do. I watch your channel all the time. I read all your articles on boxing scene. It's just a big part of my life. So I just started something up, but I don't have any social media or anything. I just got my channel.
Stay off
Bipolar
the
Boxing.
social media. Like just keep your YouTube channel. And I think let's finish this up with a heartwarming story. Is like, I think what you're doing is awesome, right? Starting a channel and talking boxing because when you deal with mental health, and I just came out of a dark place, right? I kind of might look like I'm coming out of a bender right now, but I don't know. I came out of a dark place in the holidays. I was in a pretty bad place where it was like, it was rough for me. It was like probably the worst time, right? It's Christmas, everyone's happy, and I'm dealing with depression, right? And it's like, maybe you'll relate to this, maybe you won't, maybe someone listening will, but it's like when you really go through depression, it feels so overwhelming. Rational thought can't help you, right? So it's like each day there's tiny things that can set you off. And the thing that got me back was boxing, and it made me think about 14 years ago or 15 years ago when I had gone through school and there was no opportunities for me. I went through school and basically it was like show up to a job interview and I walk in and they don't want to hire me. And I was like, I did what you did, right? I did what you are doing now on YouTube. I said, why don't I? But at the time, I wasn't YouTube savvy. So I'm like, I'm going to
Yeah.
start a blog around the Bernard Hopkins, Chad Dawson pay-per-view I spent money on. And I'm pissed that the fight went, I don't know, what did it go, 2 or 3 rounds? And
Yeah.
that's how I started. I started because it was like everything else is failing. And it was like the first thing that got some traction in my life. So I said a whole narcissistic thing just to say, I support you doing that because when you don't know what you're going to do, finding what you love is a good place to make sure you're okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I just to give you a little bit, like I've been fighting a disability case because my depression, anxiety is so bad. Like I have trouble leaving the house and stuff, and like I don't have many people to talk to. So literally just popping up the phone and talking boxing, even though it's to my phone, it's about boxing. It's something that gets me going inside. So like that's why I started this thing up.
Well, and I hope that like with whether it's me or Dakota or our group of people on this chat, we got a pretty respectful group of hardcore fans, and I hope
Yeah,
that
you guys have always been good to me. You guys have always, shouted me out when I write questions in there and stuff. You guys always make sure you put it up there. Like that means a lot to certain people that you get them involved, and we appreciate it.
one I just want to say like this is not my show. This is a community that we're building, and that's what tonight is, right? Who cares about the viewers? I'm hopping on. If someone couldn't afford the pay-per-view, we might not have like the biggest platform per se, but maybe there's one or two people that listen to this content and they didn't know they couldn't afford it or they couldn't watch it and they want to get some reactions. So that's what we're doing. David Benavidez beats David Morrell, unanimous decision. Co-feature Stephen Fulton absolutely outboxes Brandon Figueroa. We got Cruz winning a pretty close, some might say iffy decision. And Jesus Ramos looks like $1,000,000,000,000 beating Jeison Rosario. That's bipolar boxing. He's got a YouTube channel, and it would really be great if you could go over and support his channel because that would just make me feel good. So go over and give his channel support. Bipolar, what do you want to say before you get out of here?
Nothing. Just thanks a lot. I appreciate that, Lukey. And if anybody ever wants to start a mental health talk or anything, that's more of what I'm trying to make my channel to be. If anybody's interested in that, I'm all ears.
Okay.
I think we can help each other.
Sounds good. So I'm going to do my final segment. So I'm going to move you out of the chat, sadly, now, and I'm going to do one final segment. Thank you so much for coming on.
No problem, bud.
Okay, so now final segment. Close fight or robbery? Close fight or robbery? Is it a close fight or is it a robbery? Who knows, right? Close fight or robbery? That is always the debate. Was Angel Fierro robbed or was it a close fight? Cruz. I think for me with Cruz, he's more of a phenomenon. I work in boxing. I write about boxing. That's one of the things I do in life. And I don't necessarily understand the fan perspective per se that people get about the cult of personality around Cruz. I've noticed that some people have some backlash to him. I think it comes from he's a 5'4" fighter who looks like a fire hydrant. He's built like a fire hydrant. He can punch. And he's got a very exciting fighting style. So there's going to be people that are drawn to someone with an exciting fighting style who has such a unique look. And I think also he's associated with Manny Pacquiao, which is also going to draw fans. Angel Fierro, as I said before earlier, interesting fighter, interesting character, etc. I don't know what to say from this fight because Angel Fierro has been a top-rated lightweight and then moved to junior welterweight. He's been a very good fighter, but he never got the traction he probably should have in his career. He never should have gotten that push per se. And that's just how it goes sometimes. That's just how it is, right? It's just how it goes. So, is it a close fight? I guess for those in hindsight, what was the better fight? Fierro, Cruz, Morrell, Benavidez. Actually, I should do it right, not dyslexic. Benavidez, Morrell, or Cruz, Fierro. What was the better fight? We will be back tomorrow. Please come with questions on that. I think I'm going to leave this live stream up probably for like a day, and then it's going to go to my newsletter for free. So you can watch this stream for, I don't know, 12 to 15 more hours on YouTube, and then it'll move over to my Substack, which is LukieBoxing.substack.com. Subscribe. If you can't afford the pay version, reach out to me. I'm very reasonable. So thank you guys. Tomorrow, full show. We're going to do a breakdown, and then I will be back again after the Chorus of Shields fight, probably. So basically, I'm just never going to have a life again. So take care, everybody, and I will talk to you soon.